Well, hello, EKN Nation. Welcome to a new edition of Face2Face. It is May the 28th, Tuesday, after Memorial Day weekend. I hope everybody had a great weekend. Dave Cole alongside me right over there. I'm Rob Howden. I don't even remember the last time we did one of these. It's been such a busy first half of the season. When was our last Face2Face?
I believe it was either end of October or beginning of November. We had Andy Staisman on to discuss their transition of the Challenge of the Americas. So, yeah, it's been a while. This is our first one in 2024 because it's been nonstop, with the winter programs and then getting right into the regular season championships going on. Excuse the Pro Tour, USPKS, all the other programs. Blaring and going, and we got a busy month of June heading to both of their events, and we're going to be talking about another June event that'll be coming up where a lot of grassroots racers and a lot of daredevils of karting will be heading to the Quincy Grand Prix.
Yeah, we got a lot more of these face-to-faces lined up. I think David started the season, we're working on more our promoter series article, our interview series. That's kind of the way we kind of approached a bunch of stuff. We got a lot of things to talk about. We got a lot of roundtables up for grabs that we're going to look at too as we get kind of into the meat of the year right now. Racing getting going as well. Obviously north of the border now as well. Lots of racing up here. Anywhere north of the snow line, let's put it that way. Things are going. But David, yeah, you mentioned today we're going to talk about a race that I've run in. We've got to get you to sooner or later. I did it. The thing is, I think I did it 70 years ago.
It was in the 90s. Yes, it was
1997. That's a long 27 years ago.
So when I graduated high school, Rob.
Oh my God. Thanks, Dave. I appreciate that. The Quincy Grand Prix is what we're talking about, folks. One of the greatest races, an iconic race, one of the most iconic races, of course, in the sport. The Quincy Grand Prix out of Quincy, Illinois, that fantastic race throughout the park. If you've been around a long time, you'll know it just as the park. But it's this fantastic race through Quincy. Thousands of fans every year show up to watch this event. And David, before we bring in the new promoter, Jeff Scott, we can talk about the fact that not only is it an iconic name, but run by two of the most famous and iconic legends in the sport. One family being Gus Trader, and of course his son Terry Trader picking it up and running it for many years after that. It's just one of those races that anybody that's been in the sport for a couple of decades has been to and talks about on a regular basis.
Yeah, that's just it. It's got decades of history involved with it, not only local but nationally and internationally, because they've had international drivers competing at this event. And then back when the event first started, a lot of national names, and it's drawn in some national names still over the last four editions of it in terms of shifter kart racers and Briggs racers. People from all over the country are, it's like we said, it's the Isle of Man for karting. And there's nothing like it. You'll never see anything like it. That is the Quincy Grand Prix.
Just not near as dangerous as the Isle of Man. Let's put it that way.
Correct.
One of the things that's happened over the last decade or more is a vast increase in safety in what it was like in the early days. So we're going to have the new promoter, Jeff Scott, on. I've had a chance to race with Jeff. You had a chance to race with Jeff. A family that's been around forever. The kids race as well. We're going to have a couple of drivers who have done well at the racetrack and are long-time park racers, street racers, because this really is a bucket list event. We've got Jeff Dolian's going to join us on the show as well. We're going to talk to him about the event. Race Liberanti, a driver who's been there before. And David, you mentioned big teams, and of course, Race, one of the top drivers in the country. Jeff, one of the best drivers you'll find in four cycle in 100cc competition as well. So some great insight from those guys as well. But do we start just bringing Jeff in, get this underway? Let's do it. Let's bring in Jeff Scott, a driver who has been racing for many, many years, has promoted races himself, oval races. He owns his own fun kart park. But Jeff, first off, thank you very much for joining us. We'll jump into who you are in a bit, but thanks for taking the time out on a Tuesday evening to talk to us.
Thanks for having me, boys.
Again, we've raced together before, but let's talk a little bit about you and your background first before we dive into why you elected to kind of step up and pick up the flag of the Quincy Grand Prix. When did you start racing?
I started when I was 7 years old. My parents ran a quarter-mile dirt track, so I kind of grew up on the dirt side of things. But when I turned about 15, 16, started running some of the trader events at a lot of the street races, and Quincy Grand Prix became, it's right here in our hometown. So I was able to run that when I turned 18 and got me hooked.
So you know the lore of this event, right? This is an iconic race. This is that bucket list legendary race that would bring people from all the coast together to have this fantastic battle.
Yes. I mean, before I could drive it, I was there as a spectator with thousands of people just like, wow, I need to be able to do this.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
definitely.
So we know the traders. Obviously, Gus ran it for many, many years. One of the greatest promoters of our sport over the last 60 plus years. Terry picked it up and kind of ran with it, did a great job with it as well. And then it kind of, Terry was like, "Listen, my family doesn't want to take care." That they shut the track down. They actually shut down Quincy race TNT Raceways. The whole, it was time to pass it on to someone else. But really, it was just going to shut down, right? What was it?
Yeah.
What was it that drew you to say, "Hey, listen, we can't let this thing die"?
It created a big void in the community because it kind of kicks off summer for Quincy. And I mean, again, we draw probably 10,000 people to this event over the weekend. And so, yeah, in the community, you're just out and about like, man, I can't believe there's going to be a go-kart race. But then on the flip side, I had all my karting buddies like, oh gosh, what are we going to do? Like, I can't believe there's no park race. And like, you should take this on, which in the back of my brain was already like, oh, I can do this. And I apologized to my wife. I really didn't ask for permission. I just kind of asked for forgiveness as I went forward. So,
not the first time that's happened in motorsports. That's for sure.
Yeah, right.
When did the process begin of you coming in to take over the promotion? Because obviously Terry stopped, said he didn't do it in 2023. When did kind of the reins move over to you?
So back when he announced it in, I think like November of 22, I kind of already had the gears moving because we knew that was going to happen. But insurance became a problem.
Yeah.
And so it basically took a year to solidify that insurance and get that, you kind of get everything in place. We were able to work with the city and get a grant to help bring it back. So yeah, I mean, pretty much from the time Terry said he was going to retire, I've been kind of working behind the scenes, ready to pull the trigger. So
let's put it out there too, folks. If anybody is watching this live right now on YouTube or Facebook, feel free to drop a comment in there. If you do want to ask a question for Jeff or anybody else that's here, feel free to drop that on there. So we'll be more than happy to kind of bring it into the show. So Jeff, it's interesting. Obviously, this thing's there. Terry's here. Did he like pass on kind of a template for you? Because this race has been run for many, many years. It's not like you need to go out and really reinvent the wheel, right? There's so many components that are already kind of plug and play.
Yes, definitely. Terry sat with us down in like January, spent a couple hours with us, kind of gave us a lot of numbers and contacts, and kind of gave us the rundown. So yes, Terry's been, any questions I have, he's definitely answered everything that's come across the table. So I really appreciate Terry, helping me try to continue this.
Everybody knows. Everybody should know. These events don't come together in a week, right? This is kind of like a year-long deal, right? When you're done this year's race, the Monday or Tuesday morning after you've slept for 3 days, you start the next race, right? It's the promotion for the next race. My thought is, with not having to do the work this year, is Terry going to show up and hang out on Saturday and Sunday this year, or is he like literally booking a hall and get out of town?
I think he booked away. He sounds like he just doesn't, like he wants to step away from it.
Of course, yeah.
And it was his family's baby for a long time, and I completely understand. He said maybe someday he will come back and visit. So I get both sides of that. Like I really wish he would, be there and just, technically it's still his event. They created
You're the
it.
caretaker right now, right? Yeah. The caretaker. I love it. So rip the Band-Aid off is what you're saying. Okay, I get that, right? I understand that. So listen, we talked about the template. What always comes with new blood is new ideas, fresh new ideas. Is there some things you're going to bring in, some adjustments maybe you would have liked to have seen the last couple of years that you're now maybe going to be able to implement?
Yeah, we're trying to, from the community standpoint, bring in just more activities. And I kind of look at Elkhart Grand Prix. They've got a carnival, they've got a bags tournament. So we're bringing in the bags tournament. We're going to have an adult Power Wheels race down the Big Grass Hillside on Sunday. Saturday night, we're going to have a local band and do the Saturday awards at the break for the band. So, pretty much racing is done at 6:00, and it's a good time for racers just to hang out, have a drink, listen to some good tunes, and also those people that get on the podium that day kind of get a little, out front of everybody and thank their sponsors. And so really looking forward to have a little different feel on Saturday night.
Yeah, yeah. Let's we talked about great this race. Let's bring one in here real quick. Evan Stommer, all-time favorite track. Thank you, Jeff, and all the supporters. Thought I'd bring in a little shout out. This is a race, David. You can come to it. This is a race that, man, if you haven't been to, so many people call it their favorite race, right? Why wouldn't you come out and experience it?
Yeah, and to kind of build on that, Jeff, what has been the feedback from a lot of the racers? Has it been all positive? Is it they're trying to throw in their own ideas into it, or is it just happy that the event's coming back? Kind of what's the feedback from the racers?
Yeah, 95% of them are, excited it's coming back. We've had a couple that, hey, we need multiple class discounts. I'm signing up for 11 classes. I'm like, well, race 7 classes. I don't know what to tell you. I mean, my kids and I raced there and Rock Island and Elkhart, and there's 3 of us that raced 10 classes. So that's part of it.
Right. Thank you very much for helping to pay the huge bill. Come on, it costs a lot of money to put these races on.
Yes. So, yeah.
What is the entry fee for the event?
It is $150 a class, and that goes up at the end of the month. So you got 2 or 3 days. I think a lot of people are looking at the weather. It's been so rainy all through the Midwest. I know there's 3 or 4 shifters. They're like, hey, 10-day forecast. If it shows decent, we're there. We just don't want to race in the rain.
See that? Hold on. That drives me crazy. The best time I ever had at Rock Island was when I ran 125 Masters in a shifter in the rain. It was the best weekend I ever had. It was so much fun driving that shifter in the rain there.
Yes. Elkhart last year, it rained from the first green flag until the last checkered flag, and it was a blast. We were all drowned rats, cold, freezing, but never forget it.
What about the class structure? Why don't you throw the class structure up for those who may be just tuning in here for the first time and don't really know what runs as part of Quincy? You mentioned shifters, but it's also a huge 4-cycle event as well, right?
Yep. Of course, we've got the Ignite, and we run it, heavy Ignite, Masters Ignite, also Legends, 50 and older. Then we've got all the Briggs classes. We run a Briggs Heavy, which is 375, not the big 390 class. That's probably the biggest Briggs class. We do run a medium at 360. And of course, we've got the FK 100 class, which is your KAs, Yamaha pipes, and then the shifters. This year, we've also added a non-competitive class, which right now has 4 or 5 entries. That is for people that don't want to go out there and race nose to tail with 20 other go-karts, just want to go out and drive the track. We're going to separate them out every 10 seconds. They're still going to get their 12 or 14 laps. And
nice.
Again, just the track itself to drive the track is amazing. So
it's like a lapping day.
Yes.
Oh, I love that.
Yep.
What a great opportunity for sure. That's big.
Yeah, almost like you could award fast lap. Be like, hey, you got the fastest lap in this race.
It's time trial. Yeah.
Yep. And we also do have a class of vintage open carts. And this year we are bringing in a class of 125cc mini motos. We had a test day. And again, I think a lot of those guys, we've got 4 or 5 entries. They're waiting on the weather for sure. I don't think they want to run around there in the rain. So, but definitely the test day was, those guys, the first time they took their 10 laps, they took their helmet off and said, that is the coolest thing I've ever done. So
what's you mentioned registration before the price goes up is the end of the month. The race, I don't think I brought up the race is June 8th and 9th, folks, by the way. I don't think I mentioned that. Of course, we'll get that all out there. Where do they go to register anyways if they do want to register? Well, after this, we'll jump quickly into the schedule for each day, and we'll look at the purse as well. But if they want to register, where do they go? What's the website?
QuincyGrandPrix.com. There's a big orange button that says registration. It sends you to Race Select. So we're using the online Race Select app. And it's all right there.
So let's walk us through Saturday and Sunday. I know obviously practice in the morning, qualifying at noon. There's separate races on Saturday and Sunday, right?
Yes. 6 or 7 classes on Saturday. Something that's a little different this year. Last year's Saturday's races, well, in years past, were always with a sprint race. Didn't really have a lot of meaning to it. So this year, those are feature winners as well. But if those same classes, something like Ignite Senior will race Saturday and Sunday, we're going to use the lap times from the Saturday race to line up the Sunday feature.
Ooh,
so you might be out there in the lead pack and get crashed or whatever. You still have some lap times, so you're not starting dead last on Sunday.
Yeah, so unlike a Rock Island, where the Rock Island races all the races on Sunday, right? So you guys are actually doing full mains on Saturday and Sunday.
Yes, we're doing mains on Saturday and Sunday.
I like it. What about cash purse? I know there's money up for grabs as well. What are we looking at? What classes are racing for money?
Yep, one of each. The Briggs, the FK 100, and the shifter class all have 1,000 to win. The breakdown, I think it's 750, 500. It's $2,500 purse per class. So, yep, some money up for grabs for sure.
Well, speaking of money up for grabs, let's start bringing the guys in. They're going to be running for those money. Hey, hold on. Are you racing as well? Are you going to race this too?
My plan is to try and run one class because now I can hit that Legends class.
It's the best in the world.
A little easier because right now I think Masters class is one of the biggest classes. And racing against Jeff Dolian and
David
Tony
Cole.
Nielsen.
You got to race against David Cole.
Not this year, maybe next year.
But yeah,
that was my only biggest disappointment of this whole event. That the race, I have a conflict this weekend. I for sure that I was going to be able to come this year, and I have a conflict. I'll be at Road America. We pause our face-to-face broadcast for this quick commercial break. Stay tuned for more here on the EKN Radio Network. Ready to step up your game? Joining the Rawlison Performance Group is the obvious choice to take your racing to the next level. Industry-leading driver development is provided by our staff of multi-time national champions, Super Nationals winners, and Team USA members. And at the same time, RPG continues to be a national-level powerhouse race team. Our goal is to help you raise your game and win races. We work with all age groups and are focused on developing those cadet and junior drivers who are ready to take the next step in their racing program. Rawlison Performance Group has set a new standard with our in-house engine program, AVP Engines, headed by Alex Vincent. AVP has become the benchmark in IAME competition. We have the largest OTK inventory that follows our race team, providing trackside parts at all the major events in North America. RPG also offers multilingual support with French, Spanish, and Portuguese-speaking staff. If you want to fight for championships or want to improve your skills and your chances to win, the answer is to call RPG at 503-260-4514. The Rawlison Performance Group. We race to win. It all started in 1994 when former successful kart driver Albino Parolin decided to move his passion for karting from the track to his small workshop. That's when Parolin was born. Fast forward 20 years and Parolin's passion for the sport led to the company rejoining international competitions as a factory team in WSK and CIK FIA races, with the aim of enhancing the research and development process, immediately achieving notable results around Europe, North America, and Asia, becoming the CIK FIA Asia Pacific KZ champion in the same year. Parolin USA is North America's source for Parolin products, and we run a factory team at all of the major Superkarts USA and Rock Cup USA events. The Parolin chassis lineup for 2021 includes the Invader Shifter, the Le Mans Tag single-speed chassis for junior and senior classes, and the 28mm mini kart for the cadet classes. Parolin has been winning races all over the world, and it's on top of the podium in the USA as well, with drivers like Kai Sorensen, Mateus Arguela, and Alessandro De Tullio. Get on the chassis that's winning. Drive a Parolin. For more information, head to ParolinUSA.com. Welcome back to Face2Face on the EKN Radio Network. So let's start with Dolian. Let's bring in Jeff Dolian, the guy that has won his share of street races. You name it, he's won it, IKF races. Jeff, thank you so much, man, for being with us. We appreciate it. And let's talk about Quincy Grand Prix.
Yeah, gosh. I've raced this race. I was trying to think. I'm not as good at dates as David is, but it was the late 90s. There were a few years there where they were running junior classes. So I was out there running with a Quincy local, Robbie Warner, Matt Kretschel coming up from St. Louis. We're running in junior classes. And even before that, I always said, oh, man, I heard about the park. I heard about the Cassidy brothers, Ryan and Justin racing over there, and a number of other legends of the Flathead 90s days. And my dad at first said, nah, I don't think the park's where you want to start. But fortunately, back then, there were a lot of other street races going on. And so raced a few of those and went back to the park. And once I made my first practice session there, I just fell in love with the place. You know, if I could get married at the park, if I could have done that, I would have done it. It's an unbelievable track. The topography is amazing.
Yeah.
Racing in and out of the shadows of the trees is just an unbelievable experience that you don't get at other racetracks. As Jeff mentioned, the fans come out more than any other race that I've ever been to. And they're genuinely interested in cheering on their drivers and the parade laps that we get to do after the races. It's just a really incredible experience. And I tell everybody, you know, hey, you got to try the park. And every once in a while we get a few new races there, and that's what we're hoping to do this year as well.
And Jeff, just to come back to that, really, you again, you've raced at events coast to coast, right? You know, we've been to Bermuda before racing. You've been all over the place. There's just absolutely nothing like it. I think that's what it comes down to. There's the Super Nats, there's IKF Grand Nationals, there's Rock Island, there's all these different events, right? But there's nothing like the park. It's completely unique.
Yeah, totally. I mean, and I think a lot of us as kart racers, we're used to racing on flat racetracks until you go someplace that has a lot of topography like the park does, or something, I guess, like Road America. You don't really get a sense for how that affects the racing and how that affects the strategy of the race. And so I just think that's really one of the unique things that you get racing at the park. You know, and there's a lot of people and there's a lot of tracks that we run, whether it's Scooser or otherwise, where they'll set up a temporary race in a big flat parking lot. But here you get what you would think was a purpose-built racetrack in the middle of a beautiful park, but it's just that, and it's just a really incredible race to run. So I'm happy to be able to share it.
Obviously, more questions coming for Jeff. If anybody's watching, they have any questions, they can bring it out there as well. Let's bring in our next guest as well to wrap things up, bring the whole thing full circle. We'll have more questions, but Race Liberanti, let's bring him in here as well. Again, Jeff's going to be going after money. Race is always going after money as well. Race, thanks for joining us, man. We appreciate it.
Yeah, thanks for having me. I'm excited to talk about one of my favorite races of the year.
Right. Let's talk about the park. Obviously, the topography, we talk about the elevation changes. It's kind of like, it's almost like a Barber Motorsports park to a certain extent, right? With all those elevation changes that make it so unique. Just tell me your thoughts overall. We'll start with that on racing at Quincy.
I will agree. There is absolutely nothing like racing at Quincy. Man, the place, I remember my first session there, I came off the track and I was like, man, there's no way this place, this had to have been a racetrack, right? Like, of some sort. And they're like, nope, it's a park. And I'm like, dude, it's beautiful. Like, everything about it, the turns are shaped the right way. I mean, the only thing that's not meant for go-kart racing is the crown in the street. And that honestly adds an element to it that eventually caught me off guard and ended up biting me. Going into turn 5 in a shifter hurts a lot when you miss the crown in the road, but it's part of it, right? Like, it's one of those things where, you know, a lot of people may be afraid to street race and stuff, and you're seeing a little bit less of it nowadays, and the insurance stuff going on that I'm sure Jeff's gone through to get this race going. But it's the most fun. Like, you got to know your boundaries. You got to be disciplined. To me, it adds a lot as a driver going to a place like the park, where you really got to understand what you're doing and how things are reacting, and really tame yourself as a driver, and you cannot go over 100%, because 101 is danger, right?
Okay.
So
Yeah.
you know, I love it because you have to dial it back a bit, get in your element, get in a groove, and that's things that are easily lost at some of, you know, the other regular circuits we race at, not including racing in front of 10,000 people. I mean, I didn't finish one final the year I raced there, and I ended up breaking off the starting line in a shifter. This chain snapped, and I pulled over right in between turn 3 and 4, where there's a huge crowd of super rowdy people, and no BS, in that 15 lap main event, I was hammered. Hammered. We had a great time.
Oh my God, that's so good. And listen, that reminds me that we talked about it being like the Isle of Man. If you wreck at the Isle of Man or break down at the Isle of Man, people grab you and take you to whatever the local pub is. That's what you do. Yeah. You go straight to the pub, right?
Yeah. So, well, these people bring the pub to the sidelines at the Quincy Grand Prix. I mean, if you want to, like, that's the other cool thing. Karting, we don't get to race around fans. Yeah, Super Nats is cool, but it's friends and family and a couple spectators here and there. And that's, you know, arguably the biggest real national level karting race we go to with spectators at it. And then you have the Rock Island Grand Prix, which draws a great crowd. And we all of us in this podcast love that event. Yeah. But the fans and the crowd at the Quincy Grand Prix are just different. Like there's more of them. One, there's this landscape of this racetrack is massive. The plot of land you're racing on is huge. And there's people along the fence line all the way around the perimeter of this joint. So, and they're getting after it. I mean, they're having a good time. So the atmosphere of that event is unlike any other one. The only thing that really compares to it would be something like the Isle of Man. Like you can't see the whole racetrack, but there's plenty of action going on all the way around it.
And race in some areas, it's almost like a natural amphitheater, right? And Jeff, you can speak to this. We talked to Terry about it in years that he was still running the race. There are families in Quincy that run out there on a Saturday morning, get the tent set up, and they claim their spot that they've been to for the last 20 plus years.
Yes. I've already had people message like, hey, can we bring our canopy in Friday? I'm like, sure, set it up. So it's something a little different this year. And it's similar to Elkhart is fans will be able to come into the cold pits, like the grass area where we're all pitted. So kids getting autographs and meeting drivers is going to be off the scale. Like it might create a problem getting through the pit area because there'll be a lot of people in there. But again, Elkhart does that and it's just amazing. Like we hand out, I don't even know how many old tires and autographs and body panels. And so it'll add to that whole experience for sure.
We're talking about the overlying, iconic nature of the track. It's a bucket list track. You have to go there. I'll echo what Ray said. When the first laps I ever did there, I was like, this is unbelievable. This is just the coolest thing I've ever been on. But let's aim to some of the people that are going to watch this and are going to come racing. Jeff, we'll come to you first because Ray's already kind of touched on it about how you have to approach the weekend. What's it take, number one, to win? Number one at Quincy, because we know how many close finishes. Not everybody can win there. And what's it take to get out of that weekend safely and with a great experience?
Yeah, I mean, from my perspective, I feel like you go to some tracks and maybe there's 2 or 3 days of practice, or you've gone there for 3 weekends before the race to really get the kart dialed in and figure it out in all weather conditions. And street racing and racing at the park is different. We show up Saturday morning, you walk the track as the sun's coming up. You kind of get your kart set up for kind of that average setup where maybe you can adjust either way. But otherwise, you're going to start practice. And to me, you start slow. This isn't a purpose-built racetrack. Nobody's turned laps there in 2 years, and there's absolutely no rubber on the track. So just get used to the track. As Ray said, understand where the crown of the road is. It's, there's a crown in some turns and not in others. Get used to where the barriers are, but don't get too used to it because those barriers have a tendency to grow legs and move a little bit in between sessions. But really just get a feel for the track, understand how it's going to develop throughout the weekend, and just work to try to pick up your pace a little bit session by session. And it's a little different than others where, we're not going to have 3 or 4 heat races that lead up to a feature. I think as Jeff mentioned, people are going to enter in multiple classes. You may use some of those earlier classes to learn, where to pass and where the line is and learn how to build up your speed so that maybe some of those later classes on Sunday, you find yourself really competing for the win. So it's kind of an evolution through the whole weekend, and anyone can do it. Not all of us are just showing up once a year or once every other year to race this thing. So anyone can be competitive there, but really the people that are the ones that took their time on Saturday and got used to how the track has developed.
Yeah. That's 2 really good bits there. Obviously, Ray's talking about the fact that you don't want to run 100 because if you go 101, you're in trouble. 90% is the place to be. I think it's the same thing for Rock Island to a certain extent and Elkhart as well. And then, of course, what Jeff says, come up slowly.
Any place with temporary barriers, or that element of hitting something.
I don't care if it's St. Petersburg or Toronto in a car. It's exactly the same thing, right?
Exactly. Yeah. Jeff Scott, we haven't got into the staff at all. Obviously Terry had his stuff. I think a number of those people are coming back. Have you, can you kind of break down like who's race director, flagman, all the kind of key components, that will help kind of keep things on schedule and keep everybody going?
Yeah. Most of Terry's crew is coming back. Chris Miller is our race director. He did that in 22. I thought he did a fine job. There's 14 corners. It takes a ton of corner workers and what they call pickers, guys to help set barriers back. Jason Burgess is coming back as our head flagman, and his dad Jay is going to be our pit steward. So yeah, amazing crew. You know, Chris has done a ton of work on making sure all the corner workers are covered, because that's, for guys to sit there for 8, 10, 12 hours on all those corners is a lot of work.
We went to Jeff and asked some tips here. Let's go to Race. Race, you've won a lot of street circuits. What are some of the advice you would give to newcomers coming? You started with 90%, but what does it take to win a race like this?
Man, Jeff really kind of nailed it on the head. You can't afford to miss laps, right? So you can't go out there and make a massive mistake because there's no dirt to, drive onto and drive back on the racetrack at all, anywhere on that circuit. So easing your way into it and developing, you have to be willing to move around with the track. It's the most like I have some experience racing some motocross as a kid and some dirt car stuff now. And in those scenarios in dirt, you really see evolution of a racetrack. Yeah. And street racing, you see something very similar. The track, the first session, there's dust blowing everywhere. You end up with stuff in your eyes for a little bit, right? Because it's just, as much as they can street sweep it, we pull up stuff that they can't, right? And happens at every street circuit. The first session's a wash. You're learning the racetrack. You're finding the line. The second session, the groove starts kind of wearing in a little bit in the one lane that's available. And then after that, the track starts developing, comes racy, right? And a little bit of grip goes down, come your main events, but barriers are moving. So you have to be aware of what's going on. You have to adapt to the elements around you more so in this style of racing than your typical weekend at GoPro Motorplex or Newcastle Motorsports Park or any other place like that. So evolving with the track, staying ahead of it. Because honestly, I genuinely have never been to a street circuit where I've really relied on my setup to put me ahead of my competition. Like, it just doesn't work that way. It never has. You can almost show up to with any axle in the go-kart you have, and you can make it work. Because nobody's going to have grip, right? Like even the evolution of that track becomes clean, not grippy. So there's just, you have to focus on different things. You have to change your mindset a little bit. And I'd say somebody coming into it, I mean, you have to be patient. The person that has that confidence and that ability to be patient and drive at that 90% the whole time and evolve that pace with the track. Cause the park, especially, I remember my first session to my last session. I think we were 3.5 seconds faster, and in a go-kart, that's massive, right? Like, that's a lot. You see that all the time in race cars, but that doesn't quite feel the same. So when the track evolves that much, you have to stay on it, and that's eventually how you end up winning one of those races.
Can we speak to the level of draft? Like, I know that most street race, like a Rock Island, right? The lead group will pull away. You don't need to be the best kart or to be the fastest guy. As long as you're in that draft, in that lead group, you keep yourself in the fight. Race, would you say the same things for Quincy? Is does draft play a big role there?
Massive, okay. Especially in the 206 stuff, which I've only raced the shifter stuff there. But watching the racing, seeing the racing, it's pack racing there. And that place is, I mean, it's borderline flat out in a Briggs. So you're tucked in a big pack, and you have to be decisive when you make passes in a big pack like that, because now you're splitting a big pack, right? Mm-hmm. So it's the same it's a lot like the Rock Island Grand Prix. So for people that haven't street raced, it's not just one group of people that go and do this. Like these guys were saying, there's new people that come into this every single year. And for, the experience I have street racing, most of it being shifter kart stuff, it was all us guys that were racing shifter karts, right? Showing up and racing that stuff. So it's completely doable, but you just can't come in and throw them right over your shoulder and go out there and send it, because it's gonna bite you. Yeah. And it's a goal of mine to get all of our drivers on MPG to street races to learn, like, hey, this is the consequences, of going over the limit. You need to learn how to operate in that 90 to 95 percentile to be consistent, right? Even to the races we go to. This is a massive training tool. For some of the best drivers you've ever witnessed in go-kart racing, in the history of go-kart racing, they were good street racers.
We pause our face-to-face broadcast for this quick commercial break. Stay tuned for more here on the EKN Radio Network. Fast, fair, and fun. Ignite Karting offers you all of that at an affordable price. Ignite Karting utilizes the spec Margay Ignite K3 with a sealed Briggs & Stratton 206 engine and the Hoosier R80 tire. Everyone in the rookie, junior, senior, heavy, and masters classes compete on the same Ignite K3 chassis, which puts all the emphasis squarely on driver development. Additionally, Ignite karting is accessible at the local, regional, and national level. Special events for the 2024 season include the Ignite Majors, which began with the annual trip to the Daytona International Speedway in December as part of the WKA Daytona Kart Week as part of both the sprint and road race events. Those in the Midwest can enjoy the regionally based Ignite Challenge, which features 12 races at 6 iconic facilities. Local club programs have also been established in other states all across the country, from Idaho to Texas, Nebraska to New York, with more tracks and clubs joining the Ignite karting program every year. Be part of fast, fun, and great memories with Margay Racing at an Ignite track near you. All information on Ignite events and Ignite kart packages, including dealers in your area, are available at ignitekarting.com. Get off the couch and onto the track this year. Ignite Karting. Fuel your passion. History, success, family. Those are the three words that can describe Comet Kart Sales, one of the longest tenured karting businesses in the United States. The family-owned operation located just outside of Indianapolis has provided karts, parts, and services for thousands of racers in the near 6 decades of business. Their online store features everything you need, continually adding new parts to their product line. From full karting packages, new engines, spare or replacement parts, and safety gear, find it all at CometKartSales.com. Their Comet Racing Engine service has won multiple major events and championships over decades of karting and continues to offer the best trackside service in the industry, specializing in IAME X30, IAME Swift, and other 2-cycle power plants. Make sure to head to CometKartSales.com or call them at 317-462-3413 to be part of the Comet Kart Sales family today. Welcome back to Face2Face on the EKN Radio Network. Jeff, let's come to you. Obviously, great insight from Race with the shifter side. He mentioned, of course, the Briggs. The draft plays a huge role, right? It's a different kind of racing. It's pack racing. It's such a mental game, right? Which I think I love about that. Even, you've won at Rock Island. You've won at Battle at the Brickyard. You understand that flat out kind of thing where really it's momentum and you're playing the mental game the whole time.
Yeah, I mean, you mentioned it. It's momentum, and we say that a lot about 206 racing, but the park adds another element to it that we don't really get a lot with 206 races. The track itself is over a mile long. It's a little over 1.1 miles. I was bored today at work, so I started tracing it out on Google Earth. But it's got, you guys say it's like the Isle of Man for karting. I tell people it's the Monaco Grand Prix of karting, except you can pass here. There's 3 great straightaways where you can pass. They're wide enough to pass on the outside or the inside. You get a good run on people. You hopefully, whoever's behind you is your best friend, and they're going to push you into the lead. But they're also your worst enemy because they're going to be the ones passing you on the next straightaway. And as I mentioned earlier, the topography, some of those are downhill straightaways, some are uphill straightaways, and so kind of your timing of when to pull out to pass is a factor there, and it's a fun new key to racing the 206. But momentum is what it is. Each turn is different, and it's just fun to figure out how to kind of carry that momentum around the track. And add on to all of that, the starts of this street race, it's a Le Mans style start. So we've got a standing start. There's no warm-up lap. You're pushing your carts out there, you're setting it down, and you're going. And so it really kind of creates a fun first lap as you're kind of getting the heat into the tires, and also just all the carts coming together before turn 1, just to see where you can kind of race for position and get in line. But the draft is huge, especially in 206. I would say it's not uncommon to have 8, 10, 12 carts in that kind of league draft. But at the same time, if you fall out of the draft and you pick up another cart, there's no reason you can't catch back up, because people aren't just settling and waiting until the last lap. There's a lot of racing going on, and there's plenty of opportunity to catch back up to the leaders. So it's just a ton of fun racing carts, and I love it.
Let's talk about the importance of winning as a driver. I look back a couple of years ago to when Jeremiah Davis won and the emotion that he showed when he won there, getting that first victory at the Rock. Jeff, you've won races like we said, Brattle, the Brickyard, Rock Island. Where does a victory at Quincy stack up in your tremendous resume?
Yeah, gosh, I mean, the Brickyard was an unbelievable weekend, getting a couple wins there, and but man, I've got 6 wins at Quincy, some of those dating back to the '90s, and just knowing that the history of racing in the park goes before I was even born, back in the '70s. I wonder now. Jeff Scott could probably add it up with Terry, but we're probably getting close to 40 years of running races in the park. So it's an unbelievable karting history, and so, I mean, and even Rock Island, I'd say Rock Island probably has a little more fame these days because it's consecutively been running for as long as it has been. But before it was Rock Island, it was Quincy in the Park, and it had been Quincy in the Park for a long time. So I would say winning at Quincy is right up there with winning at the Brickyard. I can't imagine another race that I would be more excited to win than those two.
Speaking of winning, Jeff, things that was brought into the program a couple of years ago was the Gussie, right? We always talk about the ICAF and winning the Duffy. Gus Trader, of course, started the Quincy Grand Prix, so Terry came out with the Gussie Trophy. Is that something you guys are going to continue, or are we doing something?
So yeah, we're doing something a little different. And honestly, that Gussie it's a custom-made trophy, and in the 2-year absence, that trophy nearly doubled in price. And we're talking about $8,000 worth of Gussies is what we were going to need just for the top step.
Wow.
So we decided to step away from that. So we came up we wanted something unique, and we have a custom championship belt, which you can feature like a WWE belt, that's got everything
I like that.
Engraved on it. And, in my brain, I picture drivers that win on Saturday, accepting that award and down there with all the fans and the band and wearing that on their shoulder and having a cold Busch Light. So I think it'll fit well with the park.
I can see Liberante rocking that big time all the way down there, right?
Yeah, but I'd have it around the waist.
You gotta have it around the waist. Yeah, you gotta have it around the waist.
You don't have it on your shoulder, just rocking around your shoulder.
Yeah, no. Maybe if there's multiples, it would add them too.
Yeah, there you go.
That'd be the goal. But yeah, that's cool. Yeah, winning races like that, like with history behind it, there's it's one of those things where tradition in anything needs to stay alive, and something that you go to a place like that, you understand what it takes to win there. Even if you don't win there. A lot of people don't, right? Their first year street racing or doing something unique like that. But even if you go there for that experience, you have a different level of respect for the people that are able to win there, because it is so different, unique, hard. That obviously that person that was, like we talked about, tame enough that day, but the history behind that, all the people that have gone there and won, and how long a race like that's been around, how the origin story behind it, the family tradition it was. And it is for so many, even locals in the Quincy area. So keeping that tradition alive, street racing a bit, get in front of fans helps grow our sport for sure. But getting to race in front of fans in go-kart racing, like it's not normal. It's not every day you get to race in front of 10,000 different faces, right? So that alone, just winning in front of those people, being able to go celebrate with a crowd of people that are stoked that you just achieved that is different.
I like it. Jeff, are you planning any autograph sessions at all, or it's just the open cold pit that the fans will be able to kind of intermingle with the drivers?
Yep, just that cold pit. Again, I'm going to send out an email to all the drivers that, hey, bring your Sharpies, bring silver Sharpies, bring black Sharpies, bring old side pods, because at Elkhart, it's amazing the amount of kids that just come by and they're just starstruck. There's my driver. And it's funny because they'll come through and talk to you, but after the races, they're like, oh, you won, or it's just like you're their star for the day. So it is really cool.
Let's go around the horn one more time, guys, as we wrap things up here again. June 8th and 9th, coming up soon for the Quincy Grand Prix race. Let's start with you one more time, just to kind of wrap things up about, number one, how excited you are about going to the race this year.
I'm super stoked. When I heard that it wasn't, coming back, like I said, I only had one experience there. I broke the track record the first day, and then my teammate Devin broke it right after I did. And then I ended up breaking down in both my finals. And my memory of there is not walking home with a Gussie. It's walking or ending up having to Uber back to my hotel to then later leave when I sobered up. But that experience in itself, was phenomenal. I wouldn't change it now that I've lived it, right? But I want to go back and I want to win, and I've wanted an opportunity to. So now that it's back to do that, the passion side of, I don't race go-karts full time anymore. I run the team with Chase and do our thing with Billy, right? So, me being able to get out there and go drive is not very often. It just so happens for most of us, it's an off weekend and it's going to work out great. But that little kid in me that, wanted to go do these races and wanted to keep going after it comes out every time I get the chance to go race a race like this. So I'm super excited.
We pause our face-to-face broadcast for this quick commercial break. Stay tuned for more here on the EKN Radio Network. What brand is known around the world for its innovation and success? It is SodiCart. The Sodi brand returned in full force during the 2023 season thanks to the new exclusive importer, the Karting Distribution, led by industry veteran Terry Germanovich. The French manufacturer SodiCart is a leader within the karting industry, offering a wide range of products and services. The Sodi Racing chassis line offers product in classes from mini karts to KZ, all based on years of development and championship seasons around the world. Sodi Racing USA has expanded its dealer network over the last year, bringing the Sodi brand to several local clubs and regional programs. The Sodi Racing USA by PK Sports is the official race team, producing many victories in different levels across the board. And the new Pro Race Academy is designed to cater to the next generation of motor racing, helping boys and girls aiming to make their mark. Visit Sodi-Racing-USA.com to learn more about SodiCart chassis or call 954-634-5111 to become part of the Sodi Racing USA network today. SodiCart, the world leader in the karting industry. It's back. The park is back. The Quincy Grand Prix has produced many legends of the sport. Trader, Evans, Pruitt, Haddock, and McMurray, to name but a few. After being absent for the karting calendar in 2023, the Quincy Grand Prix is set for a return in 2024 and will be held over the June 8 to 9 weekend. First held in 1970, the 35th edition of the Quincy Grand Prix is set to tackle the beautiful 1.2-mile circuit that is laid out inside the South Park of Quincy, Illinois. Every inch of the course will be lined by over 10,000 spectators who will flock to the park to take in 2 days of racing, featuring categories for Vintage, Briggs 206, Ignite, 100cc 2-cycle, and shifter karts. Several special activities will take place over the weekend, both on and off the track, with karting as the headline show. 7 main events will take place on Saturday, with 15 races on Sunday, including the 3 pro categories that will pay out $1,000 to the winner. Registration is now open, so don't wait and enter now at QuincyGrandPrix.com and become legendary. We'll see you at the park. Welcome back to Face2Face on the EKN Radio Network. Jeff, you got the same kind of statements? You thinking back to the old days when you were there as a kid running junior?
Oh yeah. It's just, it's still the same park. It just gets a little more beautiful each year as you appreciate what we're fortunate enough to be able to do. And I just, I wouldn't miss it for anything. This is the race that I can't miss each year. If the park is happening, I'm going to be there. And I'm coming all the way up from Texas in order to race there. So that hopefully speaks. And I reach out to Margay every year, and they do it for everybody, but they put together arrive and drive packages. So if anybody is still thinking that they might want to race, but they can't quite get their cart there, definitely reach out to the guys at Margay and come out and run Ignite or run a 206 class. But yeah, I just love it.
Take the go-kart that would have been mine had I been able to come. Because I 100%
Yeah.
would have been running Ignite Masters.
Yeah. But, and we didn't even talk about it, but I also say Race touched on it, but the racecraft, I feel like there's a lot of talk on social media these days about kind of the racecraft and the style of driving that you see. But I'll say from my perspective, you don't see that in street racing. All these drivers know what the consequences are of running like that. And I just love the respect that all the drivers give each other, and the same respect would be extended to anyone that's racing out there with us at the park. So I hope more people come. I'm looking forward to seeing how big the event can be this year. I long for the days of back in the 80s and 90s when no joke, there'd be over 100 entries in a class.
Yeah.
And it stretched so far beyond the last curve that the guys at the end of the starting in last couldn't see the green flag wave. It's such an iconic event. It's such an incredible venue. And I just want people to experience it just so that they can decide for themselves and see it for themselves. So I hope to see everyone there.
I love it. Let's. I'll come to Jeff in a second. So we talked about the fans that are there and kind of being a star for the kids that are there. They're getting a chance to watch this race that they're falling in love with. Jeff, I'll let you comment on this one here. This is from a young lady. The look you get from little kids, especially little girls, for me, is a win in itself. Your daughter obviously is a rock star racer as well. This is kind of cool for her. I have to think this would be an amazing experience again for her as well.
Yes. There's only a couple girl drivers. And yeah, for her to walk through the pit area with her, the pink on the suit just stands out. And yeah, she's got a big fan club here in Quincy, of course. She says, I'd love to be one of the first girls to win. But she knows that task it's hard to come by. Especially racing against her brother, for sure.
right. No doubt. So, okay, we'll wrap things up here with Jeff. I'm going to start, but before I give you the platform, Jeff, and the pulpit to go at it, I just want to say on behalf of everybody in the sport, thank you very much for what you've done to step up and make this happen again. It takes the right people who are willing to put the time in. This is a race that nobody wanted to see go away. Obviously, we understand that Terry has got his family and he was ready to step back. But, again, thank you on behalf of the karting community here in the U.S. and Canada as well for stepping up and making this happen, because it's such a great race and it needs to continue.
Thank you. Yes, that's why I'm here. Like I said, it left a big void that summer. We didn't have the race. My kids and I, have raced it every year since it brought back in 2018, and we just sat around the house like just completely bummed. I think we went to the park, just sat there like, it's so quiet. This is a park. We should be racing.
Why is this happening? Yeah.
Yes. So, a lot of work, probably more than I envisioned. And again, my wife is tolerating that because I kind of twist her arm a little bit because she is also taking care of the bookwork. So I added onto her plate as well. But yeah, I think it's going to be a great event. Like I said, we're doing a lot of outside activities for the fans. Again, when you're talking, 5 to 10,000 fans a day, they need something to keep them busy. So just the racing and the cornhole and the adult Power Wheels. My son actually got to test that coming down one of the grass hills. So, you see that stuff on YouTube where they strap a helmet on and sign a waiver and send them down the grass hill. I think that's going to be an event in itself. I don't know what it's at 2:30 on Sunday. I'm not sure what class is racing, but I might miss my class just to go watch that.
Here's one question for you. Is there going to be any kind of public live feed? Is there a live stream at all?
There is not. That was one thing we looked into. I reached out to Kart Chaser, and because the park, you guys have been there, there's so many trees, there's so many corners. He was concerned with how many cameras he would need to cover the park. So it's something down the road we might look into a little more, but it's just very hard to cover the whole park.
So you got to be there, folks. Just go to the race for sure. Jeff, any other final words? We're trying to send people, obviously, as you know, the registration price stays the same till the end of the month. QuincyGrandPrix.com. Any final words you want to drop in here?
Nope. Yep. Just get registered. We've got some pretty cool merch coming. It's going to be one of those shirts that, hey, I want that shirt. They'll wait and get it to be here. So it's a one of a kind for sure.
Time to go racing. Jeff, thank you so much, guys. We appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys. Right on.
We'll drop them out, and David and I can wrap things up. David, I've been there one time 27 years ago. We talked about it. I want to go back. It's a fantastic race. You've got to get there sometime. You've done a lot of street racing. You've been very quick at Rock Island. This is an event we talked about again. Bucket list event, one of the most iconic. And, man, you can just hear it from all three of those drivers, right? The sheer passion they have for the race itself and just being there. You can't ask for much more.
Well, I'm banking on it being a success this year, and it's going to continue on for the next 10 years. So I will have the opportunity to get there one of these years. Eventually my daughter's recital will not be on the same weekend. So, that once that gets settled in, I'll be able to, I love the comparison because we talk about street racing all the time. You can't go 100% in the first session. I love that, hearing it from Race and from Jeff. You got to build up to that and eventually get there. And even old fat guys like us, we can gradually get our way up there and be competitive by the end of the race weekend. And that's essentially what racing, a street race is. And just the sheer magnitude of this racetrack, again, over a mile long. So it's almost a road race when you look at it that way. It's like a Newcastle that you can only see one or two corners at a time. And so it's, there's just so much. Again, you got to be there to witness it. I think that's kind of the for me, not ever being there. It's you can think what it's like, but like Ray said, all the fans that are along the fence line, and what Jeff said with the way the racers respect one another and racing in packs, and one lap this guy's leading, the next lap the other guy's leading, just because of the way that the racetrack shapes up. It's something you have to experience yourself.
I know when I first started as a journalist, when I moved and worked for National Kart News, Keith Reaver from Margay said to me, "You got to come to the park. You got to come to the park." We figured it out. I flew into St. Louis. I did a tour of Margay. Out we went to the park. Too many beers on a Saturday night. After I did one session on Saturday, too many beers Saturday night. I entered and raced Yamaha Heavy, finished 12th. Great. One of the greatest events I was ever part of. So I definitely want to get back sometime, folks. And again, we're all talking about it. It's a race you want to get to, folks. Trust me. It is a bucket list race that you will not be disappointed that you attended. Again, June 8th and 9th. Get registered ASAP. If you want to learn more, QuincyGrandPrix.com. But again, everybody's going. Fantastic event. And again, big thank you to Jeff Scott, Jeff Doley, and Race Liberanti for joining us here to talk about the race that they hold so dear. Thank you so much for tuning in, folks. Face2Faces are back. We got lots more coming throughout the summer season. On behalf of David Cole, my name is Rob Howden. Bye for now.